Luc Joly-Durocher was just 20 years old and living in Témiscamingue, Quebec, when he decided to visit friends living on Sherbrooke Street in North Bay. These friends weren't new to Luc. He'd known most of them since childhood. So let's take a minute and talk about North Bay, where Luc's story unfolds. North Bay is a small city in northeastern Ontario, situated on the scenic shores of Lake Nipissing. It's about 300 kilometers from Toronto in one direction and about 300 kilometers from Ottawa in another. Because it's situated on the Trans-Canada Highway, North Bay is often referred to as the gateway to the north. North Bay is known for the high number of NHL players who were born and raised there, and also for its high number of missing people. Don Caris, David Chevrier, Brian Dunlop, Stephen Gravel, Philippe Guérin, Brian Henry, Russell Hoffert, William Ostertag, Norman Welsh, Glenn Wesley, Walter Westbrook, Terry Zubko, and Luc Joly-Durocher. 1 woman, 12 men disappeared from there, and they are still missing today. So on March 4th, 2011, Luc made his way to North Bay, went to his friend's tiny apartment on Sherbrooke Street, and the group of young people began their evening of drinking, playing games, and visiting some bars. But when the group moves to a local bar on Main Street in North Bay called Cecil's, things take a sudden turn. Luc is turned away by the attendant at the door. Perhaps he's forgotten his ID. Perhaps he appears too intoxicated. The bouncer really doesn't remember. But however it happened, Luc became separated from his friends, and then shortly thereafter, he was gone. Now, here's an important fact to consider if you've been following this story. When Luc is at Cecil's that night, their video surveillance shows him wearing his American Eagle jacket. This jacket, along with Luc's phone, are later found back at the Sherbrooke residence that Luc was visiting. Now, there is no doubt in our minds that Luc Joly-Durocher lost his life on March 5th, 2011, at the hands of someone else. But for more than 12 years, no one has been held accountable for his death. Rob Joly, Luc's father, has worked on this case from day one, visiting businesses looking for video footage, renting a tracking dog to take through North Bay's downtown area, putting up posters over and over and over again. And in 2020, he began to work with us, intent on investigating his own son's case. Rob has spent day after day in the field with us, knocking on doors in the dead of winter and interviewing people whenever and wherever they could be found. In recent years, APTN began to cover Luc's case. Shortly after, CBC and CTV's W5 told Luc's story. And through it all, a local North Bay reporter, Jennifer Hamilton McCharles, kept in touch with Rob on a regular basis, covering Luc's story and sharing what she knew with residents of that community. Now, it's no secret that in recent years, a number of people have come forward to us, offering in most cases what they believe to be helpful and genuine information about Luc's case. As investigators committed to providing answers, we've appreciated the time, effort, and risk that they've taken on to help Luc's family get the answers that they need. We've worked on a lot of cases through the years, and many of them have been cold. And we know that some cases have sat on the books for decades with very little momentum until the right person comes forward with just the right information. But even then, even when an investigator feels like they have all of the answers, a case can seem to stall. The threshold that police, for example, have to reach before they can charge someone in a criminal case is an incredibly high one. They have to be able to support a theory with so much evidence that no reasonable doubt can exist. So rumors, statements from witnesses who just aren't believable, and a complete lack of physical evidence can make it difficult and even impossible to have any chance of a successful prosecution in virtually any criminal case. A jigsaw puzzle is completed piece by piece, with each individual shape providing support for the pieces around it. Each piece of a jigsaw puzzle looked at independently doesn't really give you any idea of what the picture may look like when it's complete. But when every single piece is locked into place, the picture that it was intended to create is clear to anyone who sees it. In our experience, missing persons cases are much the same. Each case remains unsolved, sometimes for decades, until that missing puzzle piece is locked into place. If you have that piece, please call or text our confidential tip line at 289-975-0909 or call Crime Stoppers. We believe that Luke's case will be solved and that it will be solved soon, but we need your help to make that happen. Here's an interview that we did with Rob Joly in 2021 for our Whereabouts Unknown podcast episode, The Families Speak. In it, Rob discusses what he believes happened to his son and how the community can help.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so when a person goes missing, all of a sudden there seems to be all of this activity. You know, families tell us that there's all of this community support. There might be searches going on. The police are at your door several times a day. There's lots of media attention. And then all of a sudden, one day, that just comes to a full stop. So, did you experience the same thing?
I did. We had definitely lots of media coverage through the local papers and the local TV stations. And then it got to a point where it did get quiet, and it was kind of sad. I felt really alone, like there was nobody out there that I could reach out to help us. And so I just took it upon myself to go ahead with keeping the awareness going, and any way I could with posters. I had lots of support in North Bay and the local community here, so I was putting up posters, billboards, just to keep the awareness going. Because somebody out there knows what happened to Luke, and I just wanted to. That was my goal, of just to keep the awareness going as much as I could.
Yeah, we do completely agree with you that there are probably lots of people who know exactly what has happened to Luke. And we really encourage them to come forward by calling North Bay Police Service, calling Crime Stoppers, or certainly sending us a message, a confidential message here at Whereabouts Unknown. I don't think that anybody can really fully understand the sadness, the fear, the frustration, and the all around feeling of panic when a person disappears. And everyone just seems to be kind of turning their back on that. And we know that in theory, life moves on. But it is very, very difficult for families when they see that support system slipping away. How did you deal with that? You mentioned that you got out a lot of posters. You kept Luke's name really out there in the media. Did you decide to take on any kind of any investigative techniques yourself? I know that at one point, I think you had worked with a dog. You had done some other things. Did you try to advance the investigation yourself?
I did. Numerous times I've just took it upon myself to investigate the tips that I was getting, because for the first couple of years, I think I had my own personal cell phone out there, and I was talking to a lot of people and relaying that information to police, and they reminded me that it was a dangerous thing to do because of the people we were dealing with. But I wasn't really frightened about that. I just kept talking to people downtown and hanging out downtown, and at all hours of the night, at midnight, and on the weekends when it was really um, dangerous to be there. But I just had it in my mind that I got to find my son, and I'm going to do anything I can to find him.
And there really is no limit to what a father's love can accomplish. And as difficult as it must have been for you, we really admire the perseverance that you've shown through all of these years in attempting to find out any information that you can about Luke's disappearance. Now, Luke has been gone now for some time, and I wanted to ask if you're comfortable talking about this. What do you feel in your heart has happened to your son?
Well, Ellen, for the longest time, you never give up hope as a parent. You never tell the media that something seriously is wrong here, and you just, you know, keep the faith, and that you hope that someday Luke's going to pop up somewhere or call you or text you or something. But at this point, which is we're going on 11 years soon, I honestly think that something seriously has happened to Luke, and I believe he was murdered.
Yeah, that is very difficult, I'm sure, to even think about for you, and I see where you come to that conclusion. As you say, it has been more than a decade with absolutely no trace of Luke, and again, I can see where that would be, where your mind would go. Now, we know that Luke is much loved everywhere his name is heard, and we have had so many people come forward wanting to know how they can help you and your family. So, at this point, Rob, what is the best way that they can help?
Well, obviously, Ellen, they've proved it over and over again. We put a poster out, you and I, of a new poster of Luke, just to, you know, raise more awareness. And people have just been so supportive, near and far. People who don't even know Luke, they just feel that Luke is a part of their lives now because of all the media that we've been doing over the years, and the podcast, the Facebook posts, the posters, and what I'd like the community to keep doing is just keep sharing stuff that we add on Facebook and the social media. Keep the awareness going. We can't let it down, because if we do, it's going to go silent again, and I don't want that. You know, I'm determined to find my son, and I believe if we all work together, we can find Luke.